What is going on, everybody, and welcome to another Beta Memoirs and Tesla earnings. Something we've been waiting for, and they seriously just blew everything out of the water. 140% gain on Q3 EPS. Uh, Tesla just nonstop. Revenues up 57% on the Model Y. Tesla in itself just completely obliterated earnings. Yes, the solar part of Tesla is kind of hurting a little bit, but I think the biggest takeaway here is that after hours we are selling. Being said, they did mention a lot of the essentially that if the whole pandemic and thing wasn't going on, that they'd be doing so much better, the chip shortage and everything, that they'd be doing so much better. Yet we are selling. This is something I was wanting to see what would happen, is if Tesla destroyed earnings and then if they would start to sell off. Now that's what we're seeing after hours. We also have to remember that today, some of the Fed members were on speaking today, and they were talking about how rate raises might actually be sooner than we expect. You've seen the market react, and we had a pretty hard pullback, although the market recovered pretty quick about midday today. And so that's something that to consider is that being taken into account. What we might see tomorrow, since we are starting to sell after hours, is we might see a dip, and then Tesla might rip. This is something we've been seeing with earnings. Something we saw last earnings as well, is that Tesla, Amazon, they had bad earnings. Amazon took took a beating last time and then dropped and never recovered till I think it was about a week or two after the fact. But Tesla had the same kind of issue where it took a beating for that after hours into the next day, and then I think it fell for like a day or two and then started ripping. So some kind of pattern we definitely want to watch here. Nothing. Tesla is just completely destroying competition and what it's doing. The energy and solar, like I said, it's a little misleading and everything. But being said, especially the solar panels for the roofing is something that needs to be addressed better. But nonetheless, that's again something they're trying to pursue. Tesla in itself is just a beast, a workhorse, nonetheless. So being said, I'm expecting this, considering it's selling right now, expecting it to pull back a little bit tomorrow. Looking to see if it bases, and then from that point, I might actually take a position. I want to see how the rest of the earnings play out, especially next week. We have Google, we have Apple, Facebook next week. I want to see how they do. Ultimately, if the same thing occurs, especially I think on Tuesday we have Facebook. If the same thing occurs where they completely obliterate earnings and then start to sell, we might start seeing some volatility. Again, Fed members talking about rate raises, which could be an issue in the future for tech. But being said, we'll see how everything plays out. We'll see what exactly is going on. Again, the Fed's always going to introduce new aspects with the data that they get and go from there. So the market in general today, again, pretty flat. So the market, I think, was waiting. I think it was waiting on the beige book. The beige book came out. We didn't see any kind of impact from the beige book. So it kind of led to the fact that, well, maybe it was more so Tesla we're waiting on. And now that Tesla's had earnings, we're starting, like I said, we're seeing that selling after hours. We want to really see how that goes. Bitcoin, on a good note, all-time highs, which actually benefits Tesla as well because they have quite a bit there. So Bitcoin broke all-time highs. In price discovery now, we're doing a retest. Wouldn't be surprised if this weekend Bitcoin really explodes going forward from this point. So something to keep in mind. Also, BTIO, I don't know if I mentioned this the other day. It's the ETF that came out yesterday, but that is also up for grabs if those people who aren't actually buying specifically the coins themselves. You can go into this ETF, BITO. Also, BTFD, I believe it was scheduled to come out from Monday. You got another Bitcoin ETF that's coming out. I think that's actually been moved. From what I saw, it's been moved to Friday. So you want to watch that particular one. This one was actually active not soon after the bell opened. So I'm expecting the same for BTFD as well. So again, you got Bitcoin running, Tesla earnings good, but selling after hours. Market looks like it's holding steady. Want to see how that's doing. Apple. The only reason Apple sold was because of that news from the Fed member. I want to see how much of an impact that has. I was actually waiting for this to retest at 145. So maybe we will get some volatility with that after Tesla earnings, and we'll do some retesting because I kind of expected that to happen, but it didn't happen yesterday or today. So now that we've broken out, the SPY is just going for all-time highs. It's all or nothing, it seems, at this point. So I am expecting some sort of pullback. So we'll see how that plays out. Again, you have to look pre-market and really see. Facebook holding strong. I'm still in this. I really like Facebook. Now that it's broken up and starting to get some momentum. I think if the market does start to push up, I think it's going to rip. If it starts to pull back, I don't really see this pulling back much more than this 20. Essentially holding that 337 mark. Again, we'll see. Anything is possible. Maybe between the Fed information and what Tesla's doing, and them essentially addressing the fact that if it wasn't for the chip shortage and everything else, that they would even crush it even more than they already are, which is extraordinary in itself. So we have to see how that plays out. So Google, again, starting to give way. Really looking for a retest here at the 2800. That would be a great entry for Google. I think Google can really do some damage, although it looks like it wants to start pushing up again. Square's kind of in a rough spot, especially if you look on the daily. It needs to break this 258 mark and hold above that. We want the daily candle to essentially open above that. If it does, we can start going to all-time highs for Square. Square is in 2 weeks. I believe it reports the first week of November. Roblox doing some retesting here. Still looks sharp as long as it stays above the 79. Still got a little bit more room before it hits that trend. So you're essentially looking at that 81. If it breaks the 81, holds above that on the daily, can look for that to continue. Snap's been interesting. It's been a lot of random news about socials, and this it's been really wavering back and forth. So interesting to see what Snap does. They have earnings tomorrow. Maybe if they destroy earnings tomorrow, this might actually start really running. You might get some good movers from that point. Maybe that's what the market's waiting for. This is, again, one of the leaders in the ad space for the socials. So we want to really see how Snap plays earnings. UPST, this is one I've actually taken a position in. I do really like this wedge it's creating here. This company, again, the revenue for year over year is expected to 60%. So with the auto loans and everything that's going on, I really like this moving forward and potentially being one of the biggest movers going into the end of the year. So I wanted to take a position in this and hopes to catch the bottom. I think we're starting to hit on the daily. It looks way overextended, but this company is doing some phenomenal things. And they got a partnership with Berkshire, which is interesting to see. This kind of adds fuel to the fire. But that 20 is essentially sitting at the 335. I believe if tech and everything starts to kind of sell a little bit, UPST might just start running and take that money will essentially be soaked into something else, and I think it'll be soaked back into UPST. Affirm did sell off a little bit today. I think Affirm could probably sell off a little bit more. Potentially hit that 135 mark. Retest down here. It is hitting some support here, so it'll be interesting to see if this bounces. Same with UPST. I want to see if that bounces. Amazon, still looking for the retest here. See if we can get it down just a little bit lower. 33.80 mark would be fantastic for Amazon moving forward. Again, we want to see what happens, how Tesla plays out overnight, how Snap plays out. I think will give us some more guidance. We're talking about the e-commerce space here, though. Shop still looking very strong. I was looking for a retest down here at the 14.39 mark. It didn't quite reach it, though. We'll see if this if the market starts to sell, if this does come back. Again, if it starts to sell, I think it's only going to be a brief pullback. Just trying to get more information. Watch what the Fed says. Again, we have Powell and them in about 2 weeks. So it would be interesting to see what happens there. SC with a retest. I want to see if this bounces out of here tomorrow. It'll be a good one to watch tomorrow. Let's see. Etsy has been on fire. Net. This is another one on the hourly. On the daily, it looks like it's been retesting right here. But we could be getting another breakout here, possibly for more price discovery on net, something to keep on watch. Coin's been an absolute monster. I did call this wedge break out a couple days ago, and it's been going nonstop. Let me see here. CMG, this is one I want to keep. They have earnings tomorrow after the close. I'm not really expecting much of a run going into tomorrow just because Domino's didn't do the greatest. It didn't run like it did last earnings. So we'll want to see how it does on this earnings and potentially play continuation on this if it does crush earnings again. PayPal is an interesting one. They actually came out. This is a phenomenal play here. They announced that they are trying to buy pins, which I think is a great move because it gives them a front end to a company that has a lot of sales. And being said, they can tie PayPal onto the back end of that with crypto and everything else. So I think it's a great move on PayPal's behalf. I don't think it's been finalized yet, but they did sell dramatically right into the zone today. And it took the scalp out of here. I didn't want to hold it overnight. But ultimately saying this, I think if it holds, as the market holds and everything, definitely start looking at leaps for PayPal. I think with that, if they do acquire pins, that would be a phenomenal grab in itself. So again, that's pretty much what I have. Ultimately, I want to see what the impact of Tesla earnings is on the market in general. Again, Tesla's part of the S&P now, so you got to remember that. So if Tesla just starts selling, maybe we'll get a little bit of a deeper pullback tomorrow. Again, I don't expect much more. We'll pull back. I expect some because we've been running really hard for the past couple of days. But after that point, I expect us to keep going back up again. Then we'll have Powell FOMC meeting, and then we'll have debt ceiling and stuff like that going around in another 2 weeks. I think that discussion in itself, especially if they've been hinting at rate raises coming earlier than expected. I think originally it's supposed to go mid next year to later next year. Powell has always had that stance, and we have to see where he stands. This next meeting might be really important. They might keep kicking that can down the road till after the new year, and then they announce it. And at that point, I think is because I'm thinking about a correction, a pretty heavy correction around that time, early next year, around that February, March time period. I think around there, we might get the discussion essentially where the rate raises and stuff will happen, and then there'll be that correction. I don't really see it happening between now and Christmas. I just don't see that happening, but anything is possible. So if you've made it this far, remember to hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already done so. Till next time, I will see you guys later.